If the preceding tutorials have shown anything, it's that we're living in an information-rich environment that makes it harder than ever to determine what information is trustworthy and what is not. How do you evaluate information sources to determine what can be used appropriately in a term paper or class project? That's the topic for this episode of Information Literacy. Hi, my name is Bob Baker and I'm the Library Director at PCC's Community Campus. Welcome to the series of online tutorials designed to help you become a more knowledgeable information consumer and help you to get better grades. There are several criteria you can use to help assess the trustworthiness of information you find as you conduct your research. These criteria are particularly important to apply to information you find on the open web, but they apply equally to traditionally published materials. The first criterion is authority. Who is the author and what are his or her qualifications to write about the subject at hand? In the case of traditionally published materials, the issue of authority is relatively easy to deal with. Why? Because of the editorial control that is exercised in the publication of journals, magazines, books, and reference works. This generally does a good job of weeding out individuals who are not qualified to write on a particular subject. Articles published in a peer-reviewed journal or by a scholarly or reputable reference or trade publisher will have undergone review, sometimes extensive review, by editors. Materials on the open web are another matter. If the website is a corporate, educational, or government site, such as the websites for Sears, UCLA, or American Cancer Society, you won't typically find personal names because of the nature of the website. But you won't need to worry, as the information about the organization in question will be trustworthy. Sometimes it is difficult, if not impossible, to determine who authored a web page. You may find the name of the webmaster, but that's usually the individual responsible for the organization and look and feel of a website as opposed to its content. At any rate, on a website you want to look for the name or names of the individuals who authored the information and then try to determine if they have any qualifications to write on the subject at hand. Look to see if there is any reference to the author's credentials, such as academic degrees or past professional experience with the subject. If there is doubt, you can always look up the author's name in some of the library's databases, the library catalog, or other biographical directories in the library's reference collection. Finally, notice whether the website or page is on a .edu domain, that is, on a computer at an educational institution. This is no guarantee that the information is authoritative, but it may indicate the author's professional affiliation, which can be helpful. The second criterion is the timeliness or currency of the information. When you're writing on a current topic, you'll want current information and statistics. Take a look at the publication or copyright dates in books or journals that you want to cite, remembering that the information in traditional sources is usually between 6 months to a year older than the copyright date. That's because of the time it takes for a piece to make it from the author's initial submission of the manuscript through the editorial and publishing gauntlet. Generally, periodical articles will always be more current than books. On the web, sometimes you'll find a date for the information in question and sometimes you won't. Many web pages have a "this page last revised on" stamp at the bottom, but this may not reflect the currency of the information on that page, just the last time the page was revised for improved design. Information on websites is not automatically more current than traditional information sources. There are lots of websites that haven't been updated since the late 1990s. And that's one of the reasons why you must carefully examine statistical data on the web to make sure that the dates and origin of the statistics are also cited. The third criterion to consider is bias. Now, it's difficult to find a totally unbiased source, so the trick is to identify the nature and degree of the bias. The purpose of many commercial websites, such as those ending in .com, is to encourage you to buy something. Many nonprofit organizations whose domain name ends with the .org designation may want to solicit a contribution from you. In either case, the information offered on such websites might be skewed to get readers to act in a certain way. This is particularly true of political websites and blogs. Remember, there are facts and then there is the interpretation of facts. One of the tip-offs that opinion is encroaching on fact is the use of loaded words that some authors will use to color the truth. It's important to distinguish between facts and the author's point of view about those facts. The point is that information provided on a politically progressive website like MoveOn.org is going to have an agenda, as is information on a politically conservative website like the American Policy Center. Of course, not all bias is going to be obvious. When you are researching controversial topics, it will be easier to see bias if you have started your research with one of the current issues reference databases that portray both sides of any given issue. The fourth criterion is the accuracy and credibility of the content. Accuracy can be gauged by the sources used and cited by the author. Look at the documentation, bibliography, or references list, if any, that the author provides to back up any claims made in the piece you're evaluating. Are the sources credible, such as from journals or other scholarly sources? If the information is on a website, look at any links to other websites the author may have provided. Try out those links to see what the author linked to and how credible those sites are. Finding out what other websites link to the site you're evaluating is also helpful. Google provides a great way to do this. Go to the advanced search screen for Google, where you'll find a page-specific search. Here you can paste in the URL for the website you're evaluating. The results may confirm that you're looking at a credible website, or they may not. When it comes to evaluating information sources, you can always consult with your instructor or a librarian if you have doubts about the trustworthiness of information you've uncovered. That's it for this episode of Information Literacy. This episode's program notes will list all of the resources discussed, some suggested additional reading, and the entire script of the episode. Thanks for watching.